Welcome to another episode of 9to5Mac Weekly, where I actually switched from the iPhone 11 Pro Max to the iPhone SE, and you know what? It wasn't that bad. But I'm definitely going back to the 11 Pro Max because the battery life on this phone is just, it's not cutting it. I am your host, Miles Somerville. Let's dive into the news. In our first story, we've got a bit more news on the upcoming over-ear Apple headphones, otherwise known as the AirPods Studio. Apparently, AirPods Studio is going to offer a neck detection feature, similar to the ear detection feature found on the AirPods and AirPods Pro, meaning that any media being played will stop when you take the headphones off and place it around your neck. We've also learned that the AirPods Studio will use sensors to route the left and right audio signals instead of having fixed audio channels like on most standard pairs of headphones. And this means that you're never going to have to check for that L&R symbol before you put the headphones on. And honestly, that's a pretty GOAT feature because that's probably one of the only things about headphones that hasn't changed at all in the past 10 years. Before you put them on, you always got to look to see which one am I putting in which ear. Not having to worry about that when using these headphones, I mean, it's the little things that count, honestly. And according to Bloomberg, they're going to be offered in 2 different variants, offering different color choices and material choices, and should come in around the $350 price point. Like I've said before when talking about these headphones, I'm probably mostly curious to see what they look like more than anything, but I do know that they should be a very good sounding pair of headphones for $350. That's a pretty high price point, so I hope they have the audio quality to match. But with this and all of the equalizer setting stuff that we learned about the headphones as well, this should be a pretty compelling product overall for the price point. Let's just hope that the total package is worth it in the end result. In other news, we've got a pretty compelling Quo report to break down here. We're hearing that there are 2 new iPads on the way and Apple glasses even further out. According to the report, there's going to be a 10.8-inch iPad coming later this year and a 9-inch iPad coming sometime in the first half of 2021. Apparently, both of these iPads are going to sport faster Bionic chips and come in at a much more affordable price point, just like the iPhone SE. We don't know if this 10.8-inch iPad is going to be an update to the iPad Air or the 7th generation iPad, but based on the way it's going to be released, and they're saying it's going to come out sometime later this year, I would guess that it's an update to the 10.2-inch 7th generation. And the fact that these devices are going to have larger displays does align with the fact that Apple, we reported rumors on weeks back that Apple's going to make an iPad with an in-display fingerprint reader. So it does kind of sound like Apple's trying to shrink all of their bezels and eliminate all the bezels across their entire product line, which is definitely something to look forward to. And as far as the Apple glasses, we don't know much because it's still a little early, but supposedly Apple's going to drop a pair of AR glasses sometime in 2022 at the absolute earliest. And this does make sense as Apple's seemingly been going gung-ho on AR and VR lately, and we'll get into that a little bit later as to how that connects. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty overall interested to see what these new iPads are looking like, and especially what a new pair of Apple glasses would look like. It would be crazy to see that Apple make something along the lines of the Google Glass in terms of price point and have it be far more successful. That's usually what happens though. Speaking of AR and VR, a while back I talked about the reported acquisition of the VR company NextVR by Apple. It looked like Apple was looking to acquire the company, and they did. Apple recently finally made it official, but that's not what's funny about this. Apparently hours after the announcement was made official, Apple immediately pulled the NextVR app from the Android Play Store. And just the way Apple consistently tries to oppress the Android ecosystem it's kind of funny. Because you might remember a while back, Dark Sky, it was a really popular Android weather app. It was considered like the GOAT of Android weather apps. Well, Apple bought that company too, and right after they announced it, pulled it immediately from the Google Play Store. It's like Apple doesn't want Android users to have anything for themselves. It's kind of funny, but hey, we live to see another day. I'm sure all Logic Pro users were super excited to see the new 10.5 update, as it's now available to download today, and it finally includes the addition of live loops, which you can originally only get in the iOS version of GarageBand. In addition to this, there's a handful of other inclusions in this update, like 2,500 new loops, a new drum machine designer, and a whole lot of other features mostly oriented around music production. So like I said, it's available today. You can get it right now in the App Store. And I'm a Logic Pro user. I use it pretty much every week. I'm using it right now to record this video, but I haven't touched it much for music production. But after seeing this update and everything that's been included, I might dabble in it a little bit. So I'm actually gonna stop the news here and end this episode with a desk flex. It's kind of weird, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Let's jump in. So I'm actually going to be showing off another one of my desk setups that I've got in another room. And half the point of this desk flex is to not only showcase some cool products that I think you guys would like, but also to ask for some counsel because this setup isn't exactly finished yet. But just going over the main products I've got in the desk. Firstly, we've got my custom built PC. This features a Ryzen 5 processor, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte SSD, and right now inside the machine there's an MSI AMD 5500 XT. The display, which I don't have hooked up to the computer yet, and I'll get into that in a little bit. This is just the LG Ultrafine 24-inch display, the Thunderbolt 3 monitor. Down here we've got a Corsair mouse and keyboard combo, and right here we've got a Satechi leather, basically desk mat, and I really like the way it looks. Back there is a Mophie dual wireless charger. Right there's my Blue Yeti, fake plant. These are the Corsair Virtuosos, I think that's the model name of these headphones. And then down here is a Satechi headphone stand, a USB 3.0 headphone stand. Right here is a 5700 XT, and that's an entirely different story as to why it's on my desk and not inside of the machine right now. I've just got, you know, your basic $20 salt lamp. Another Satechi USB 3. This is actually a monitor stand, kinda, or an iMac stand technically, but I'm just using it as a USB-C hub for my custom built PC when I want to plug in extra peripherals. Here I've just got a MacBook Air, and plugging into the MacBook Air, I've got the Satechi basically power station. It gives you a bunch of extra ports. Let me move this out the way. It even gives you a single 30-watt charger. That's why I've got the MacBook hooked up to it. There's an 80-watt charger, and then the rest are, I believe, 5-watt chargers. So you've got a bunch of devices, which sometimes I do have a bunch of mobile devices at once. It's a great way to charge them up. And the desks are just two IKEA desks, nothing fancy. I'm sure you've seen it a million times before. And then just a Logitech 720p webcam. But my current dilemma is that this computer, or the motherboard on this computer, does not have Thunderbolt 3 natively. So currently, I cannot use the LG Ultrafine with the monitor or with the computer, but I want to. I've done some research, and apparently there's some sort of cable, I think it's called a Moshi cable, that apparently will do DisplayPort to USB 3 and transport what seemingly is like the equivalent to a Thunderbolt 3 connection between the computer and the monitor. I should be able to use it with no problem. This isn't the 5K version, so I think I should have less issues as far as what cables to get. But I'm not sure about jumping the gun on that just yet. So do you guys have any suggestions on how you would get a PC that's perfectly capable of driving this Ultrafine display? I just need the right cable or the right adapter. What do you guys think? Because the graphics card has a DisplayPort 1.4 and then HDMI 2.0, so pretty much the latest and greatest. Just don't have Thunderbolt 3 as an option on this computer just yet. And I don't think that's gonna be possible at all, quite honestly. But yeah, what do you guys think? Any suggestions? Leave them down in the comments below. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.